Okay, so today what we're going to do is we are going to look at part 5 together. So just a reminder, in part 1, we just did the career versus career. Part 2, you wrote down notes of similarities and differences. Yes, yeah. Part 2, similarities and differences. Okay, part 3, you wrote down your thesis statement. And then in part 4, we just looked at different options for compare contrast essays. And in part 5, what we're going to do is we're going to draft your similarity paragraph. Okay. I do want to draw your attention to this tips for using text evidence before we get going too far. Just a reminder, when you use text evidence, you've got to introduce your source. You've got to cite your source. And so all of you guys have used Naviance on this, yes? All right, so we got to cite Naviance. Okay, so we got to say that Naviance is where you got your info. Okay, and so there are a lot of ways to do this. If you look in column 2 on the screen, you can see the different ways to introduce your source. Okay, and then also after you give your evidence, you need to explain how it connects back to your claim. And so these phrases here, like this proves that, this shows, this explains, this suggests, these are all ways to introduce or to explain your evidence after you've introduced it. Yeah, I'll try to get back to this screen, but probably won't. So you can see just these different ways to introduce your evidence and your explanation. Okay, so first of all, in part 5, you go ahead and fill in the blanks for your topic sentence. So the careers of blank and blank are similar. So the careers of blank and blank are similar. Go ahead and fill in that blank in part 5. That is our first step here, because again, this paragraph is all about how these two careers are similar. So we're going to introduce that. Reminder, your topic sentence is your first sentence in each body paragraph. It's where you give the direction for the paragraph. Okay, so again, you're at part 5. The quick way to navigate this document is to open the outline on the left-hand side and just click to part 5. Okay, that is the quick way to do this. Okay. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is name the similarities. So going back to what you wrote in part 2. Okay, in part 2, you wrote down similarities and differences. Okay, so go ahead then and identify one of the similarities. Now keep in mind, you wrote 3 similarities in part 2. You're only going to be writing about 2 of those similarities. So think, which of the similarities will you actually be able to develop in your writing? Okay. I will say, when you say they require the same level of education, that one, it can be more difficult, same with salary, but you just have to kind of dig deep with the information that you found to explain those further. Okay. So what is the similarity between those careers? Go ahead and write that in the box. I will say these boxes, guys, you do not need to write in complete sentences. You do not need to write in complete sentences. This is where you're organizing the ideas from part 2. And again, part 5 is where you're organizing your ideas from part 2. So you can write phrases. You don't have to write in complete sentences, although many of you will find that writing in complete sentences is helpful in this part. Okay, so sentence number 2 is how are they similar? Okay, sentence number 3 is where you state what Naviance says. Okay, so you're probably going to need to go back to Naviance here if you're going to do a direct quote. If you do a paraphrase, then you still need to reference Naviance, but you don't need the quotation marks. Okay, so your choice here. But what does Naviance say? Okay, so now you're kind of explaining how they're similar based off of what Naviance says. Okay. Okay, so sentence 3, what does Naviance say about this? What does Naviance say about it? So again, you might need to look back at Naviance to find this. Right, and then in sentence number 4, I'm just going to move on here, but you can come back to this and I'll help you as you go along. But in sentence number 4, you're simply going to explain the connection between what you saw in Navient and sentence number 2, your claim, or sentence number 1, your claim and your example. So for example, if I were writing about how the careers of law and computer analysis are similar, my sentence number 2 could be skills used on the job is common to these careers. Navient says that skills required by lawyers involve blank and that computer analysts blank. These careers both must research and analyze complex information to come up with potential solutions to bring resolution to the cases they face. Okay, so sentence number 4, I'm explaining the connection between what Navient says back to what I wrote in sentence 2, which is back to the claim overall. Okay. And so that sentence number 4 is just kind of, it's, coming back to this right here, explaining why your evidence is relevant. All right, so that's what you're going to do in sentence 4. I'm just going to zoom ahead right now just so I can stop this recording. But what you're going to do after this is then just go ahead with number 5, which is another similar thing between the 2 careers. Give your evidence and give your explanation. Okay, same thing. And then for a closing sentence, your summary sentence, here's an example. Though these careers seem different, there are correct characteristics that they share. Okay, so your summary sentence is just restating that topic sentence. Okay, that closing sentence, summary sentence is restating what you did in your topic sentence. Okay, all right, so I'm going to come around and just help you guys as you need it and check on your progress. Please ask questions as you have them. And when you are finished, you will go ahead and